Hello, my dog lovers and other friends. I'm Dr. Peter Tobias, and you're listening to Not Just About Dogs. People often ask me where they can find help without spending fortune on veterinary care. And while it's true that certain treatments need specific procedures and testing, there are certain principles that can be applied to any disease with dramatically positive results. I've been applying these principles for the past 30 plus years of my practice, and I focused on healing as nature intended, and I could clearly see that 80% of all problems could be solved by applying a few simple principles that make a huge difference in health, quality of life, and longevity of your dog or yourself. I would not be surprised if you object to my statement. There are some medical problems that do require immediate and sometimes technically advanced treatment methods, but I strongly believe that a large percentage of medical conditions require no drugs and no invasive procedures. About 10 years into my veterinary practice, I was shocked to see that by applying simple, natural principles of healing reduced the use of prescription drugs and invasive procedures by 80%. I could see that the body has a mighty power to heal itself if we simply provide the right support and get out of its way. So, how does nature heal? Every day we witness nature's ability to heal, adapt, and restore, and this process of natural restoration happens in a few steps that I've called the healing cycle, just to make it simple and easy to kind of understand. The first step is detox. The second step is nourish. The third step is align. And the fourth step is to support. My plan today is that in each of these four steps, I will first describe the natural processes, and then I'll give you some examples from dog or human health. And finally, I give you some ideas of how we can support the body to achieve better health. Let's have a look at the first step of the healing cycle, which is detox. Anything in nature has cleansing and detoxing process embedded within it. The oceans clean itself thanks to surf, oxygenation, sand, and stonewash. If you think of UV rays and cascade of microorganisms, they serve as a cleaning crew too. The trees are capable of absorbing carbon dioxide and purifying the air, and so does wind and rain. Thunderstorms form ozone that purifies the air as well, and UV light keeps harmful bacteria at bay. Fungi have a great capacity to detoxify and also absorb radiation. Every single biological process has cleansing and detoxing embedded in it. There are only few ways your dog can detox. The ongoing daily cleansing processes involve the kidneys, liver, gut, skin, and lungs, and the more intense cleansing kicks in when toxins or pathogen levels reach a certain point, resulting in vomiting and diarrhea. I would like to note here that it is rare for the conventional medicine practice to see these detox processes as positive, even though they are the protective mechanisms of the body. They are the signals that the body is attempting to either eliminate toxins or restore balance in the natural healing process. I want to emphasize here that if this lasts for more than a couple of days, proper diagnostics and support must be applied, and you must exercise caution when it comes to diarrhea, vomiting, and other symptoms. If you're unsure, please see your veterinarian for advice. When it comes to humans, the same principles apply. However, dogs, people, and other animals all evolved in a very different setting than our current industrialized world. In other words, foreign substances, toxins, chemicals, heavy metals, radioactive pollution, processed food, stress are the primary reason why all creatures are excessively burdened. Thousands of billions of biochemical reactions take place in the body every second, and foreign substances can wreak havoc on your and your dog's metabolism. Now, keep in mind that toxicity is one of the primary causes of disease. Because of the extra burden we and our dogs face due to the industrial world and a wide range of chemicals and additives in our food, it would be unreasonable to expect the body to handle this burden completely on its own as it would have 1,000 years ago when these critical substances were not present. So here is what I do for my dog packs and what I do for my own body and what I suggest to you and my family. Every 6 months, I recommend that you go through and you take your dog through a cleanse. The initial cleanse should be about 6 weeks, and then every consecutive cleanse can be 4 weeks. Now, I use fermented products, and the formula that I use for my dog packs is Livertune, and it is a fermented herbal formula that improves the detox and cleansing ability of the body, supports the liver and other organs. Now, the human version of this product is Livertune H+. There are some differences between those two products, considering the metabolism of a dog and a human, but generally they are intended to support the body's cleansing, support the liver, improve the ability to adapt to the stressful life around. It does have some adaptogens such as ashwagandha. It does have turmeric. It has milk thistle and some other liver and cleanse supporting ingredients. You can find this product at livertune.com or livertuneh+plus.com. Let's go to the next phase of the healing cycle, and that's to nourish your body. So first we talked about detoxing and then nourishing. That's step 2. Cleansing the body of toxins and foreign substances is a good start, but even the purest and cleanest system can't function without the building blocks that it requires. Now, there are billions of biochemical processes that can take place without the essential nutrients the body needs. Also, the body is not able to make these essential nutrients and must receive them from food. Without essential nutrients, the body may survive for some time, but similar to an engine that receives the wrong fuel, over time, the body will gradually succumb to such deficit and will start breaking down, which will eventually lead to disease and even early death. Nature ensures balance and complete nutrition through 2 main processes: a diverse diet, which used to be achieved through roaming, and second, completeness, which was ensured by complete nutrient recycling. One of the best examples of nutrient recycling is African savanna. If you think of African plains, the animals live on the plains. The herbivores eat the grass, then the carnivores eat the herbivores, and then the feces and the recycled food goes back to the soil, and eventually it all goes back to soil, and then the grass grows and the cycle starts all over again. Now, this cycle has been harshly interrupted in the modern civilized world. If you think of food production, food is transported from place to place, and the nutrients don't go back to the soil where the food originated from. So eventually our food ends up depleted and lacking nutrients, and it's impossible to expect of farmers to recycle all the nutrients back to the soil, and it's too expensive to put all the microelements and nutrients back in the soil where the food came from. So this ideal natural nutrient cycle does not exist in our world that we live in, and that is why diet can't be complete. Now, I didn't really know that when I started practicing, and in the course of the first 10, 15 years of my practice, I started to see that the animals are showing very clear lack of nutrients, and then it started making sense. I started providing different vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and omega oils, and saw a huge difference. And this is one of the focal points of the learning that I made in the practice, that true healing is actually very simple. If we provide the body with the building blocks that it needs, then it heals and recovers. And I would just say easily 80% of the conditions that we deal with in veterinary practice either do not exist or can be helped very quickly by proper nutrition. There are many factors that contribute to poor nutritional status in dogs. One of them is poor quality, heavily processed food that is stored and degrades during this process. All pet food, from kibble to raw or homemade food, is made from ingredients that are depleted of natural nutrients because of the interruption in the nutrient cycle. It is not always the pet food manufacturer's fault that food is depleted, because it's impossible to ensure proper nutrient recycling and therefore balanced diet. I've had the opportunity to observe both kibble and raw fed dogs, and they all showed signs of nutritional imbalances by the time they reached middle age. From a dull coat to poor mobility, weak digestion, organ disease, and cancer recurrence that is too early. These are, in my opinion, clear signs of less than optimal nutrition. Pet food on its own is simply not enough. Once again, what I mentioned about dogs applies to people as well. The additional problem is that food manufacturers take clear advantage of the addictive nature of some substances such as sugar, salt, flavor additives, and rich processed food. I will really confess that it's hard for me to resist a bowl of chips or fries or sugary treats if they're in front of me. In addition to that, it's almost impossible to navigate through the ever-changing jungle of dietary recommendations and ensure balanced nutrition. Fast food culture has caused an obesity epidemic in children and adults, and the only way to address this huge issue is by returning to wholesome, unprocessed food. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's the only way to keep ourselves healthy and long living, and the same applies to our canine friends. So what I recommend is relatively simple. My dog Pax is on predominantly raw diet, and I sometimes cook the food, especially when we travel or when I know that there can be some sort of bacterial overgrowth. But most dogs can deal with bacteria beautifully because they've evolved for bacterial loaded diet. They eat carcasses, they scavenge, they sometimes eat feces, and nothing happens to most dogs. Now, when they are affected is when their immune system and their body is weakened by nutritional deficiencies, toxicity, and poor diet. I have put together a simple course on raw and cooked diet feeding for dogs, and you can find it on my website. And you can also find their recipe maker for dogs, which is free, and you can combine different ingredients and ensure that you feed the right amount and the right proportions. And you can also estimate or assess whether your dog is overweight. And the recipe maker is pretty much a great tool for anyone who's starting with raw or cooked diet feeding. Or if you're advanced, you can still get inspiration and combine different ingredients and also learn a little bit about each of them. I am a big proponent of fermented supplements. I have learned about how the regular synthetic supplements are made, and they're basically made from coal or crude oil and similar ingredients, and we can't make food from these ingredients. So I do not think that we can make equivalent of natural vitamins from these. What we've done, we actually engage or use a fermentation process that embeds the vitamins in the bioprotein, and it makes them more bioavailable, and they're basically much closer to the natural vitamins from fruit. Now, some people ask me, is it possible to make all multivitamins from just food? Well, we calculated that, and it would actually be very expensive. Let's say a bottle of vitamin C would be about $1,000 or at least a few $100s if we use really cheap lemons. But we don't want to do that. So the fermentation process is actually the closest we can get to natural vitamins. And I've been using these essentials for my dog Pax since he was little. And my first dog, Sky, actually was a little bit of a guinea pig because he did not get them until he was about 9 or 10 years of age. And I could clearly see the difference between Sky and Pax. Pax is like a tank. He's robust, he's strong, he's very injury resilient, and it makes me so happy. So I created this line of 4 essentials. We started calling them Fabulous 4 based on the recommendation of one of our dog lovers. She started calling them Fabulous 4, and we just it caught on. And so they're the Fabulous 4, and there are 4 essential supplements. So one of them is called Feel Good Omega, and that's omega-3 fatty acids. It's sustainable. It's not fish sourced. It's calamari based. And I put a lot of different information on the page of Feel Good Omega, where you can see how I've gone through the selection process to make it safe and also effective. The second group of nutrients are minerals, and I combine them with amino acids in the product called Green Min for dogs. Now, Green Min is a superfood, green superfood that contains mineral-rich algae, Alga calcarea, and also spirulina, which is a NASA-approved superfood. Now, when we started trying Green Min, I actually subjected myself to the trials first. We usually test on humans before we test on dogs. And I've been using Green Min ever since year 2011 or 12 when we launched it. And I must say that I'm kind of surprised. I'm 58 right now, and I feel like I should feel older than I do, and I'm very grateful, but at the same time I also love reading the testimonials and feedback from our dog lovers, and now when we have the human Green Min, also from people. When it comes to minerals, they are the essential building blocks for the body to function, and there is no one single mineral that we or our dogs can make ourselves. Nobody would expect to build a car or a bike without the parts, and we somehow expect that our body will function without having the essential nutrients. The problem is, and we know that the nutrient cycles have been interrupted and food is depleted, and especially when it's stored for long periods, when it's industrially grown and made, it is definitely not what nature intended. Now, I've seen profound changes in using Green Min in people and animals. And, I could go on here, but instead, you can go to greenmin.com. It's GREENMIN.com if you're looking for Green Min for dogs. And if you're looking for Green Min for you, you can go to greenmin HPLUS.com and read more. Now, the next supplement is GutSense, and GutSense is a canine-specific probiotic. I don't have a human probiotic yet. I usually use a probiotic, high-end probiotic from other companies. But when it comes to dogs, I've been able to formulate GutSense, which is intestinal pre and probiotic formula and digestive support. Now, it's one of our most popular products because it does make perfect number 2, and every dog lover is very happy about perfect number 2. Every time my dog has perfect poo, I have a little happy dance, at least inside. And it's important for the digestive tract to be healthy, because not only digestion and nutrient absorption depends on healthy digestive tract, it's also your dog's immunity. 80% of the immune system function resides in the gut. And the environmental toxins and pollution, and also just kind of the unnatural environment that our dogs live in, may lead to disturbed bacterial flora. So what I do with my dog packs, I give him GutSense every day, just knowing that if I provide him the canine-specific microflora, that his digestive tract will be healthy and also his immune system will be well. So the last product out of the fabulous 4 is Soul Food, and that's a multivitamin and organ support. I mentioned before that synthetically made vitamins are not ideal because they are made of synthetic ingredients, and we cannot make food from coal and crude oil. Therefore, we can't really make food equal or equivalent of food-based supplements. So the fermentation is super important. Most of the supplements on the market are not fermented. They're cheap, but they're not really the same as regular vitamins. If you ferment vitamins, you actually provide vitamins that are as close to the natural equivalents as possible. It is not possible to include all the vitamins or to provide all the vitamins from food these days, because food is not what it used to be. On top of the vitamins, the full spectrum of vitamins, I provide some extra organ support in the different ingredients that I added to Soul Food. An example is turmeric, for example, that is anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory. There is asparagus that is good for kidneys. That is dandelion root and leaf that is for liver support. I basically have addressed all the different conditions that are very frequent and common in dogs and try to prevent them by supporting the organs throughout the life of your dog. So that's about Fabulous for dogs. When it comes to supplements for humans, we have the H Plus line, which the H Plus is for humans. And we have currently Feel Good Omega, we have Green Min, and we have Soul Food for people. We still do not have probiotics because they're in development, but we will have them. And if some of you ask why a veterinarian provides or manufactures and offers human supplements, it's really simple. I've been interested in nutrition since I was 18. I had very severe allergies, and I cured them by diet. I have read and studied not only veterinary medicine, but also human nutrition very extensively. And I also have a team of nutritional specialists and product formulators, supplement formulators in the human field. Another reason why I came up with the human line was that many of our dog lovers started taking the products themselves because they saw the changes with their dogs and they wanted to be as well as their dogs. So the human line was born, and I'm very grateful and happy that we can offer it to our community and people who are interested in healthy living and longevity. Now, if you're interested in checking these products out, whether it's for dogs or humans, you can go to peterdobias.com and either click on human or canine supplements. Again, the website is peterdobias.com. Now, the third step in the healing cycle is align. Dog or human, the body is a masterpiece. There are trillions of cells in the body, all originating from a single egg and sperm. If we dissect the body beyond the cells, we get down to the molecules, atoms, protons, electrons, and other energy particles. And when creating and restoring health, it is important to acknowledge the body as an electromagnetic system where unobstructed energy flow equals robust health, and stagnation in flow results in disease. So again, unobstructed energy flow equals health, and stagnation in the energy flow equals disease. Now, the blood vessels, nerves, and energy meridians act as the energy highways for the body. The more obvious examples of stagnation of energy flow are, for example, a stroke or a heart attack, but a more subtle slowdown in flow affects almost anyone of middle age and older. Now, we all have been there. We have sore backs and sore muscles and knees, and we have headaches, and all those symptoms are signs of slowdown, energy flow, and stagnation. Now, the spine and spinal column are the main energy highway, and its segments and outgoing nerves affect the health of muscles, but also the internal organs like the heart, kidneys, liver, and gut, just to give you a few examples. For example, when the back gets injured and the muscles tighten and spasm, the energy flow slows down and stops, which can profoundly affect overall health. Some of the examples that I would like to give you is, for example, lumbar spine injury and how it relates to diarrhea in dogs. A lot of dogs slip and slide, or they jump and they are active and they injure lumbar spine. And as a result, they can get very severe courses of diarrhea, and often they don't respond to any medication, antibiotics, and support. I had a dog, Sky, and when he was a puppy, I used to throw a ball to him a lot, and he obviously injured himself or something and started having diarrhea. And it took me several months until I figured out that the diarrhea problem wasn't related to the digestive tract directly, but it was related to energy flow, slowdown, and stagnation in his lumbar spine. So as soon as I corrected the injury by chiropractic adjustment and stop the intense activity that is not really natural to dogs. They don't really chase 20, 30 rabbits in a course of 15 minutes. They would chase once or twice. So we sometimes do things that can lead to energy stagnation and we are not aware. So knowing and understanding how important the spine is to your dog's health and your own health, you will probably be paying more attention to it. Now, another example can be given from heart disease in dogs. I noticed that the dogs that have very narrow interscapular space in between the shoulders may have a tendency or do have a tendency to higher rate of cardiac insufficiencies, cardiomyopathy, injury or dysfunction of the cardiac muscle. Boxers, Dobermans are good examples. And I could go on and on here, but if you have any questions or if you would like to learn more, you can just go to my website and search for energy flow or lumbar spine injuries and just kind of learn about the different conditions that can result from stagnation of energy. Unfortunately, many dogs suffer from undetected injuries and from weakness and too much or too little exercise. When it comes to humans, I really have to see a person whose serious health problems were not preceded by some sort of back pain or injury. Once you start seeing this correlation, it will be eye-opening, and I know that your health will improve. Now, when it comes to the steps that you can take with regards to your dogs, ensure that your dog gets the right exercise and that you have their back and spine checked regularly every 1 to 3 months when your dog is young and monthly when they reach middle age and older. Ideally, you should walk your dog twice a day and often through hilly and more complex terrain so they can balance and exercise their core. And if your dog enjoys water walking is great. Also, make yourself familiar with core strengthening equipment. I love a company called FitPaws that has all sorts of different inflatable cushions for dogs. Now, make sure that your dog doesn't get too much or too little exercise. Some people expect that dogs that are walked on the leash only will get enough exercise, and that's not possible. We have different level of intensity as humans, and dogs need to really run and be free to be strong. So remember that, and if you have very restrictive bylaws in your area and you cannot walk your dog off leash, sneak out in the morning or late in the evening and give your dog enough exercise. But the other part of the problem is that sometimes people over-exercise their dogs. They let them swim for hours on end, or they retrieve ball for long periods of time, or jump up to retrieve frisbee or catch frisbees, and they can get injured and often do. And I see these very high intensity exercise dogs really being disabled and not having good quality of life when they reach middle-aged and older. Now, when it comes to human, I believe that there can be gain without pain, but not without effort. Regular moderate exercise is the way to go. Too much or too little intensity will make your body crumble, and so will a one-sided, unbalanced workout. Focus on core strength, cardiovascular fitness, and agility. And I got this advice from my partner, who is a physiotherapist, and I always go for an advice to my partner. Anyway, it is very good to exercise and be motivated, but remember that ultramarathons and other extreme activities are not really that great for humans, and there is usually a price to pay, wear and tear on the body. We have not evolved for running 250 kilometers. We may have evolved to run for a few kilometers, 10, 15, maybe 20, but not more than that. So just remember, you have only one body and one health, one life. So just treat it that way. I also recommend that you work with an experienced physical therapist, chiropractor, acupuncturist, fitness coach, and other body practitioner when it comes to your body, and make sure that you keep the energy flowing. Variety and moderation in exercise is the key to long-lasting mobility and good energy flow. If you are obsessed about certain activity, let's say biking or swimming, and if you really love it, make sure that you add some other activities that exercise the other parts of the body. I have a dear nephew of mine who loves to bike. And he's in his mid-30s, and for years I've been trying to convince him that he has to exercise his upper body, that he has to actually spare his body of, repeated exercise. And he's a little stubborn, so we've been having these discussions, and he already at the age of 30, 35 has had some severe injuries. So, be careful, be mindful, and you'll be well. The last part of the healing cycle is support. And there are many ways to interpret the term support, but what I mean is supporting the body and slow down the aging. As we and our dogs age, there is a natural decline in the efficiency of DNA repair, enzymatic systems, energy availability and processing in the body. And this is where most of the modern medical science of longevity and health span actually focuses on. What I've seen in the course of my practice that no matter what we do, whether we detox and give the right nutrients and the right food and align the spine, eventually the body starts declining. And that's normal and natural. We can't really do anything about it, except that we can actually extend the health span. And there are several different ways how we can do that. And it stems from the understanding that the body starts declining naturally about 30, 35 years of age. We start seeing these symptoms. In dogs, the aging process actually starts around 2 years of age, believe it or not. So dogs that is 4 or 5 years old is actually middle age. And what we can do, we can slow down, we can focus on slowing down the aging process. I find it kind of surprising that some biological signs of aging start to appear as early as 2 years of age in dogs and 25 to 30 years in people. There is a constant process of repair and renewal taking place within the body, which includes the transcription of DNA and RNA when old cells are replaced by the new ones. So as the body ages, this process actually of replacement and rewriting of DNA and RNA actually gets affected by imperfections, because the whole process is analog actually. It means that it's very similar to audio tape and videotape. And when we, in the past, recorded music, let's say on a videotape or audio tape, and recorded it over and over and over, there would be more copies made, but there would be also more errors and more noise. And aging can be seen as this noise, and the transcription errors may be represented as wrinkles, weaker muscles or tendons, and loss of organ function. As the body ages, there are other changes that lead to a decline in organ function, and one of them is decrease in the level of NAD, which stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. NAD is an energy source that is required for proper cell, muscle, and organ function. People, dogs, and other mammals lose 50% of NAD by the time they reach middle age. As a substance, NAD is very unstable and impossible to supplement directly. However, many prominent scientists, including Harvard professor Dr. David Sinclair, suggest supplementing with NMN or nicotinamide mononucleotide, which is then converted into NAD within the body. I've been taking NMN since 2020, and I must say that I'm really pleased with the results. When I exercise, I don't seem to be as winded. My mental clarity has improved. I have been swimming long distances, and it's been really great to feel like, similar to what I was when I was 30, and maybe even better, because I have really low-grade inflammation now. And I've seen that in other dogs. We've done a little trial with about 25 dogs, and most of them were older and had a whole bunch of medical conditions. What we've seen is better mood, better energy, better sleep, better mobility, and overall improvement. After a month of giving the NMN to the senior dogs, they went through a period of cleansing that would be maybe a little bit of diarrhea, a little bit of vomiting, but that slowed down and improved within a few days or weeks, and then these dogs were doing better than before. I made a decision to recommend NMN for dogs that are about 5 years and older. I actually made the call of giving NMN to my dog Pax at the age of 3 years. Once every 3 days, 4 days, I give him a dose. It is because the first signs of aging in dogs start showing up at the age of 2 years. And while I don't really see it in dogs physically, or in my dog Pax physically, research and scientists have confirmed that these cellular changes happen as early as 2 years of age in dogs and 25 to 30 in humans. Now, I never planned to introduce M&M as a supplement in my product line. The reason was that I started to learn that the supply chain is very, I'm going to call it iffy when it comes to quality and purity of NMN. So I decided to bring the product to my supplement line. We triple tested, every single batch is triple tested and confirmed that it's pure. So that's one of the reasons why I bring it and why I offer it. You may find some other products on the market. I take mine because I know that it's been triple tested and it's packaged in glass, and we do not use any plastic for shipping, and that applies to all the products. When I started being a veterinarian, I thought that it's going to be all easy. I'm going to work in the practice and I'm going to prescribe drugs and sell kibble and do surgery. And 10 years into the practice, I realized that it wasn't really making my dogs healthy and it caused other problems. I had one dog that came with lameness, and I gave him an injection of anti-inflammatory medication, and he came back 2-3 hours later vomiting pools of blood. And those were the times when I realized that the conventional medicine may be helpful and the knowledge is helpful, but when it comes to true health and health span and creating happy, healthy, and long life, we need to follow nature. So I hope that this podcast will help you to be inspired to learn. I would love you to visit our website at petertobias.com. And if you have not subscribed to our newsletter, please do so. I send information on how to keep your dog healthy and yourself healthy for many years to come. And I share a lot of different thoughts. I think that we have to rehaul the whole medical system and make sure that it's not held captive in or held hostage by drug companies and pet food companies and the food industry that doesn't have our best interest always in mind. So it's life. We still have the power to make our choices and support the companies that we feel are integral. And that's all. If we just complain about how the world is and kind of feel victimized by those corporations, we really have to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, do we have the choice? Can we support healthy nutrition? Can we support natural medicine? Can we vote the politicians that actually are understanding the severity and the urgency of the health crisis that we are facing in human and animal medicine? So I hope that you will share this information. Thank you so much for listening, and give your dog a hug for me. And if you don't have a dog, make sure that you get one, because it's one of the most reliable health and longevity plans you can ever get. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.